Hello guys, welcome to Cafero and Simplify, and we are continuing with microeconomics. Number 18 says economics cost is equal to the sum of explicit and accounting costs. You see that is false. Why? Because the economic cost includes explicit, implicit, and opportunity costs. It is only accounting cost include which includes explicit costs. 19. One of the characteristics of the market mechanism of attaining equilibrium is that supply causes prices to fall. 19, we see that is true. And this supply most times has to be excess. So you say that 19 says in the market mechanism, excess supply typically leads to a decrease in prices as sellers compete to sell their goods with that. Whenever there is excess in supply, take an example during the COVID time when Matoke was in plenty, what happens is that prices will fall so that people sell off what they have. 20, number 20, the average total cost curve process the marginal cost curve at minimum marginal cost curve, minimum marginal cost curve. We see that is false. I try to put here an illustration, and yeah, we see that they're saying this is how the cost curve is always. We see that they are saying 20. The average total cost is this one. Average total cost curve crosses the marginal cost. This is the marginal cost at the minimum of marginal. The average total cost curve crosses the marginal cost curve at the minimum marginal cost curve. We see that is not true according to the illustration. So 21 says on the indifference curve, no rational consumer should have a justification indifferent between and among bundles. Now, what is that indifference curve? We see that I've tried to put an illustration here, and an indifference curve is that curve where we have different options, but all they make the consumer to have the same utility. Take an example. If we have at point A, we have 2 apples, 3 oranges, so you can either choose this one, and at point B, you can have 3 apples, 2 oranges. At point C, you can have 4 apples, 1 orange. So, question says on an indifference curve, no rational consumer should have a justification indifferent between and among bundles. We see that is false. Why? A rational consumer can be indifferent between different bundles of goods if those bundles provide the same level of utility. If all these ones satisfy you, the consumer is equally happy with those bundles, and that is what we call being indifferent. So here, instead of saying no rational consumer should have a justification for being indifferent, the fact is that on an indifference curve, a rational consumer can have a justification for being indifferent between and among bundles as long as these ones meet the same satisfaction. You can say, I'll take this, or this. Yeah. So a consumer is indifferent when the bundles offer the same level of utility, ABC. This occurs by combination of goods on the same indifference curve. The consumer will be willing to substitute goods at marginal rate of substitution if utility remains constant. So that makes our statement false, and I will increase my focusing levels. Okay. So to come, I guess you've understood this one, that on the indifference curve, a rational consumer should have a justification for being indifferent. That is how the statement would be if it would be true. So 22 says, if the marginal utility of a good X is less than the price of X, then any utility maximizer increase the purchase and consumption of X. You see that? That is false. What does this question want? If the marginal utility, we know marginal utility is the additional satisfaction from consumption of an additional unit. So if that satisfaction of a good X is less than the price you are paying, hmm, then any utility maximizer will increase the purchase and consumption of that. That is really false. If you realize that the additional satisfaction you are paying for is less, then you will not increase consumption. And I try to place an explanation here that if the marginal utility is less than price, a rational consumer will decrease consumption of X, not increase it. Why? Because a rational consumer will decrease consumption of a good if the marginal utility of consuming an additional unit is less than the price, because it means the cost of the good exceeds the additional satisfaction he obtains. In one way or the other, the consumer will feel cheated because he's paying an additional cost for something less. So by reducing consumption, the consumer can allocate their money more efficiently, possibly, to other goods that provide higher marginal utility. We come to 23. The price of a commodity X increases, then the budget line tilts clockwise in favor of commodity Y. We see that that is true. If you make some research about the budget line is where we have two or more commodities. Yeah, basically two. Um, Showing how consumption of one affects the other depending on the level of income. So take an example of this. If you have your income is 10, but juice costs $5 and bread costs 2.5. That means when you divide this by this, you get 10. That means you can buy 10 this and your money will be there, or you can buy 5 boxes. You see what corresponds to what. So when you buy, this implies that when you buy more of the bread, this one will have to come down. Or if you buy more of the juice, then this one will reduce. Yeah. So here, when the price of commodity X increases, when we buy more units of bread, that means we have to reduce consumption for this. Then the budget line tilts clockwise in favor of commodity Y. This is our commodity Y. And so when we buy more of this, we will find that this one will shift, this one will have to shift this side. This will have to shift inwards in favor of this Y, so letting Y to increase. If the price of this increases, if the price of this bread increases, that means you will have to buy. If the price of bread increases, it means you have to be buying less units of what? Less units of bread. Imagine if I was dragging this one and the price has increased, that means I would drag towards this left, and that will be favoring Y. That means this will be going like this, hence giving this one many units. I don't know if I'm clear. 24 says the slope of a budget line is synonymous with the marginal rate of technical substitution for a commodity, and we see that that is false. Why? Because the slope of the budget line is the budget line. Take an example. It's determined by the ratio of two goods. We have this good and this good. While the marginal rate of substitution refers to the rate at which the consumer can substitute one good for another while maintaining the same level of utility. So here the concept was talking about the budget line being synonymous with the marginal rate of technical substitution, and we see that that is false because the slope of the budget line is not synonymous with the marginal rate of substitution. For the budget line, we are considering two goods, yeah, and the determining factor is price. While marginal rate of substitution, we look at the rate at which the consumer can substitute a good with another maintaining the same level of utility if sold for, let's say, Mountain Dew and Mirinda provide the same level of utility. At what rate can the person substitute one for the other? That's what we call marginal rate of substitution. Um, Come to 25. When this when the price of consumption curve has a negative slope, then the relationship between two commodities is that of inferior goods. We see that that is false. When the why when the price of consumption curve has a negative slope, what does that one always indicate? Yeah, a negative slope usually indicates that one good is normal and the other is inferior, but not both of them being inferior. Can go and look at the curves. Verse, I was gonna say verse. uh, mm, Number 26. If marginal revenue is negative, I don't know if you understand what marginal revenue being negative. We are having a ratio over ratio. The price elasticity of demand is less than 1. If price elasticity of demand is less than 1, that is inelastic supply, which that the total revenue function must be rising, which implies that the total revenue function must be rising. We see that that is false. False. So why? If marginal revenue is negative, like the way they are saying, the the price elasticity of demand is less than 1. When price elasticity of demand is less than 1, it means it is inelastic. The total revenue is actually falling, not rising. Yeah, if marginal revenue is negative, the price elasticity of demand is less than 1. If you look at your curve, those curves, marginal revenue and all that, that means the total revenue is actually falling, not rising. Yeah, you can draw your curves very well and check and see. 2027. Under a monopoly setting, the idea of a farm doubling as an industry is just a fallacy. We see that this is false. What does this question want? They're saying under monopoly setting, we know monopoly. The idea that if the idea of a farm doubling as an industry is just a fallacy. This would be true. Like this statement is not a fallacy, it is true. Because if you're in monopoly and you have a farm, we expect that since you have the whole market and you have monopolized the market, you develop from a farm to an industry because you are just one thing, you are the same company. And so this statement is not a fallacy. Making this statement false, like making this statement false because this situation here, farm changing from a farm to an industry, is not a fallacy. Fallacy means like an option which is false, not evidenced and all that stuff. So that is it. 27. In monopoly, the farm is the sole producer of the good or service. So the farm and the industry are the same. Then we come to number 28. According to Katie demand curve and oligopoly, if a farm lowers its price, other others will follow. We see that that is true. In oligopoly, we remember how farms do it in order to attain the market. When they lower, others will find out, oh, what is the price of soda? They're selling 1,000, they will also sell at 1,000. So they're saying, according to the liquidity demand curve and oligopoly, a farm lowers its price, others will follow. Yes, that is it. The liquidity demand curve theory suggests that in an oligopoly, we know some of the characteristics of oligopoly farms that the goods are of the same price. Farms are likely to follow a price decrease by a competitor to avoid losing the market. Yeah, that is one way of maintaining the competition. 29. Cartels are I don't know if I'm pronouncing it rightly. Cartels are unstable because commodities produced by oligopoly firms are homogeneous. Cartels are actually like agreements signed in order to stay in the market between, let's say, two organizations so that you don't charge higher prices to people. And so cartels are unstable because commodities produced by oligopoly firms are homogeneous. This is false 29. And here's the explanation. Cartels are often unstable because members have an initiative to cheat by lowering the price or increasing production regardless of whether commodities are homogeneous. So these treaties signed, they're not unstable because the other, take an example of the buses. And buses going to, let's say, Guru, Arua, Leader, that side. Yeah. And they sign treaties that will not charge people 50,000. So the agreements are unstable not because they are charging, not because they are all buses. We are not looking at the nature of the commodity, but rather they are unstable because you find one company might lower the price so that it gets many customers or might increase regardless whether commodities are homogeneous. Question 30. If two in if a two input production function is characterized by increasing returns to scale, the isoquant for two terms will be closer to the isoquant for one than the isoquant for three terms. That is very true. So here we are, when we talk about isoquants, we are actually relating to two commodities, yeah, being equal isoquant. Like if I still remember the definition very well, but within increasing returns to scale, the distance between the isoquant decreases as output increases. And I'll do more research in this one. But what we should know that when two input production function is characterized by increasing returns, yeah, the distance between the isoquant keeps on decreasing as output increases. Forgotten the right explanation for that, but that is it. That one, the efficient region of production occurs between maximum average wage product and the efficient region of production occurs between maximum average product and maximum total product. This is true. 32. 32. Where are we? 31. That one is false. So it's true. That one is false. It says the efficient region of production curve between maximum average product and the maximum total product. The efficient region of production occurs between maximum average product and maximum total product. That is false. This is false. Why? Because the efficient region of production is generally considered to be between the 2 points where the marginal cost equals to marginal revenue and where average cost is minimized. Yeah, should go and study about those curves very, very well. Then, lastly, 32, equilibrium in equilibrium 32. When the mm, when the cross price elasticity of demand is negative, then the two goods are expected to be substitutes. You see that is false. Why? Because for substitutes, when it is negative, that is complement. So when cross price elasticity of demand is negative, cross price elasticity of demand is negative, the two goods are complement, not substitutes. Thank you. Remember to subscribe and we are going for more questions.